To wrap up our innovation spotlights, I'm delighted to welcome Harrison Oates, founder and CTO at SwitchDye. And SwitchDye is redesigning the color system from the ground up.
Great, thank you very much. So SwitchDye formed from the University of Leeds a few months ago. We've been working on it a long time, but we've only just spun out and taking our first steps on this journey into the industry. So it's a real pleasure to be here to talk to you about it now that we're at this stage. And I think it's really important, these kind of events, bringing this kind of innovation together, because the textile industry faces real problems. And in particular, the polyester dyeing industry has a big problem in that the scale and its intensity are now becoming environmentally and economically unsustainable. And as you can see right here, the industry is increasingly turning to innovation to solve these problems. And we believe SwitchDye offers a unique opportunity to face these issues. And so, what are the problems and how did we get there? So, a little bit of background about polyester and where it came from. So, it was invented about 70 years ago, and it's since become the most used fiber in the world. 57% of global fiber production is polyester, and 71 megatons are produced annually. We did a little bit of a calculation, and from a standard roll of that size would stretch from the Earth to the Sun, and then back to Venus again. And the rate that this is increasing means it's going to get back to Earth very, very soon. And so a large proportion of this is dyed via piece dyeing, which came up earlier. And piece dyeing is a form of dyeing technology which uses something called disperse dyeing. So what disperse dyeing does is it uses chemicals called auxiliaries to essentially stick the color to the fabric. And you may think this takes up a small proportion of any dyeing formulation, but this can be up to 90 or even above 90% of the chemical mass of your formulation. And we see this as a huge waste. It's highly chemical intensive, it's water intensive, and energy intensive. And the solution to this problem with auxiliaries is SwitchDye. So what SwitchDye does is it takes the functionality of these auxiliary chemicals and puts it inside the dye molecule, meaning that all you need to dye your clothes now is dye, water, and a small amount of CO2. So I committed a sin by trying to put a video in a presentation, and I've been told it's not going to work, but it is going to work. So what we're seeing here is a little bit of SwitchDye being put into carbonated water. So if this was flat water, normal spring water, nothing would happen. But as you add it in and close the lid, the concentrated solution starts to form. And you can see a really deep, vibrant color starts to fill the whole bottle. You then, in this exact example here, you treat it like Ribena. And you dilute it in your normal, standard dyeing equipment to produce high-quality, level dyeing. And so just to give you a real context of what we're actually saving here. So this is a comparison of disperse dyeing and switch dyeing. So on the far left there, those are all the chemicals that are going into disperse dyeing. And you can see the difference between that and switch dyeing is enormous. There are far less chemicals going into a switch dye process, 90% less. And what also changes is the reductive clearing step. So this is the most hazardous part of the dyeing and finishing process, which is eliminated with switch dyeing. You can use something called acidic clearing, which is far less toxic. So this means less hazard. On the right-hand side, you'll see the process. Because of the way switch dye works, you can do everything much quicker than standard disperse dyeing. So this means less time, and therefore less energy as well, and more productivity, because the whole system is at a temperature for a shorter amount of time. And finally, because there's less chemicals in there, you simply need less rinsing. So this means less water. And this adds up to a fantastic sustainability story, but also less cost, because you're simply using less materials. And these are the immediate benefits of switch dye, but it goes further than this in something called diabath recycling. I won't linger too long on this, but diabath recycling is when you take your waste effluent and cycle it back into the start. Because you don't have these auxiliary chemicals in there, the whole process is far easier with switch dye. And this can essentially save all of the water of your process, a large part of the dye that would be taken out in effluent, and also the energy, because it doesn't have to restart at room temperature. Huge energy savings potential here. And what this shows is you have the immediate benefits of switch dye, but they can be multiplied by small changes in your processes. And this is to show the performance that we're able to achieve. Because we can select our chromophores, we can cherry pick our chromophores for both color and performance, means we can get fantastic color range and fantastic performance out of switch dye. And these are highly level, highly fast dyes, all workable on standard equipment. And our focus is in polyester, but this also works very nicely on nylon, elastane, acrylic, PLA, a huge proportion of the textile industry. No compromises to using SwitchDye. And looking at our time, so these are both the cost and the sustainability benefits here, but what I wanted to hammer home is that they come from the same thing. It all comes from using less materials, and you're able to tell that sustainability story, but also save real money in actually doing your dyeing. And a final thank you to our team. We would not be here without them, and thank you all very much for listening. Come and speak to me afterwards. I would love to tell you more about it.